So what we do every year, I want you to choose your word for the year. This year's word for me,
wait,
I think I'll need...
Don't drop it yet.
Okay, I won't. No, okay, I won't. All right.
Hold on, guys. You gotta listen. You gotta keep listening.
Coming up.
These words are your compass to make sure that the decisions that you make in 2026 are actually moving you in that direction.
2025 was one of the best years of my life so far, and so I really want this one to be even better.
I agree. 2025 was best year of my life so far. It's going to be a big one, Kristeen.
It's going to be amazing.
Hello, my beautiful friends. My name is Dr. Becc.
And I am Kristeen Barker, and this is Am I Doing It Wrong? A podcast for doctors by doctors. Every week on the pod, we'll be bringing you conversations which shine light in dark places, normalise the doctor journey, ease unnecessary suffering, and give you actionable steps to thrive in all facets of your life. So grab a cuppa and get cozy for this week's episode of Am I Doing It Wrong?
Hello, our beautiful friends, our Dr. Humans, and welcome back to the potty, and welcome to 2026. It's going to be a big one, Kristeen.
It's going to be amazing. Do you know what though? I think 2025 was one of the best years of my life so far. And so, you know, when you're kind of like, I really want this one to be even better. Is that too much to ask? But I'm excited for it. Yeah. 2026.
I felt that in my body when you said that. I agree. 2025 was the best year of my life so far. Have you seen that quote? Just think about the fact that you still are yet to meet the most important, wonderful people in your life. That's still ahead of you. That is what is the case for all the years.
But I feel like I've met her and she's there, you. Maybe like you're going to change and you'll be a different version and I get to meet a different version of you every year. That's fine. But there will be some beautiful humans in the future, but I quite like the ones I have, to be honest.
I know. Kristeen keeps asking me to go and join Mother's Group. She's like, it's the thing you're supposed to do. And I'm like, I've already got all my friends. I've got them here and I want to spend more time with them, not new people. Like, I'm sure new people are great, but I just want to spend more time with my already people. And can I just say that actually just made me feel so much better about the current sadness that I'm having, looking at my precious little baby and thinking, I just want to pause time and be like, stop in this little absolute angel cherub mode. But you're right. I'm going to meet new versions of her as the future goes on. And she's going to be a part of the club. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. And she'll get super fun. She'll start to talk and stuff. That'll be better.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, I'm so convinced she's going to come up with this Scottish accent because she's actually constantly listening to Kristeen's voice notes. So 2025, it was amazing. How in the world are we going to top this? I know. The reason that Kristeen and I had such a good year in 2025, if I may say, is because we were intentional. We were so intentional. We're always very intentional with our year, and we have the easiest little package to deliver to you guys in terms of how you can be intentional as well. And that's what we're going to talk about in this episode today. Not only are we going to talk about the blueprint, the question to ask yourself, how to set yourself up, but we're going to give you our specific intentions and goals for 2026 too, to hopefully inspire you to be able to answer this question in the biggest, most expansive way. Because a part of this podcast is, of course, normalizing difficult conversations, but one of the difficult conversations that's harder to recognize is the conversation about you being your biggest, fullest self. And if you don't have other people in your life who can hold that biggest version of yourself for you, just like I'm so lucky to have Kristeen who does this for me, then this podcast is the place for you. We want to see you be your biggest. We want to expand you as much as possible. So kick back, enjoy this episode, and we are cheering you along with your biggest, most ambitious goals and intentions for 2026. So without further ado, Kristeen, what is our little magic, super easy yet so expansive New Year's tradition?
This is my actual favourite thing. So I swear this works better than anything else. So what we do every year, And you should do this too. You should absolutely do this too. And if you played last year, then you'll already have this, and we're going to set a new one. But I want you to choose your word for the year. So I had picked intentionality for 2025. Before that, I had impact in 2024. And then this year's word for me,
wait,
I think I'll need...
Don't jump it yet.
Okay, I won't. No, okay, I won't. All right.
Hold on, guys. You got to listen. You got to keep listening.
Coming up. But yeah, so those were my words for 2024 and 2025. And what I found, I'd actually never done it before, this word setting thing. And I found that it's just this beautiful filter, like a beautiful compass that you can pass lots of decisions through. So as you just go through your life, you're just living it. It's just there in the background being like, is this in keeping with my word for the year? And it just helps you to set boundaries and to plan things and to really just live your life in a way that represents that word. You kind of embody the word as you go through. And I also use it on my vision board. I put the word on there so that I look at it often. Now, I don't sit and like stare at it, but it's just in my environment, and it's quite big on the vision board. So I walk past the word. I'm well aware of what my word is. And so it's just there at the start of the year. And when you carry it through, there is a magic to it. Becc, what was your word for 2024, 2025?
Mine was double down. And guys, did I ever double down? Obviously, I doubled down on my DNA. I produced another human.
Oh my God, you did too. I didn't even think about that. You did double down.
I think I was thinking more about doubling down on the things that matter most, because that progressed from my word from the year before, which was discernment. I mean, in the years before this, I was taking all the opportunities, stretching myself, doing all the different things, fitting everything in. And I got into the point where I was like, okay, I'm feeling like more grounded in my authenticity, in what's important to me, in where I want to be also in the future, like what I'm creating, what I'm building towards. And so it was 2 years ago that I decided discernment was my next step. And that was such a challenge for me. It was terrifying. Like my high achievers, guys, you know that it's easier for us to be busy. It's easier for us to say yes to everything. It's easier for us to just do everything. It feels safer. And so discernment, it really was a stretch goal for me. It was a challenge. And then double down was like I spent that year being discerning. And then once I figured out the key, most important things to me in my life and that I wanted to blow up into the future, double down was my next step to just truly invest in them and give them the love and care, the regard and the investment that they needed to, or they deserved from my perspective. So they were my words. So I doubled down not only on my relationships was a really important one, and I got good results from that. I also doubled down on my mission in life, which is my group coaching program, Dare Darling, which is for women in medicine who feel never enough, who constantly have that never enough feeling in their lives, despite being such objectively incredibly talented, competent women, and helping you guys become unshakable like you deserve to be. I feel like that is my mission, and to walk those difficult and sometimes very delicate lines of building that confidence and that groundedness that you deserve amongst all these challenging forces. Not only the life of a person, a woman, but another level is being a doctor. So double down on my business structure in that way. And for me, those two words were so challenging in the face of what I had done in the years before that, what my behavioral patterns were and what my distractions were and what things I would do to make myself feel better. Like, oh, I'll get another degree. I'll get another job. You know, I'm just going to do this to make myself feel better in my old self. And as Kristeen was saying, these words anchored me and kept me accountable to the hard thing. And in particular, it's the hard thing that I wanted to grow into. So Kristeen and I, we want you to pick words that represent something that will be a transformation for you. And then, as Kristeen said, these become your filter to make sure that the decisions that you make in 2026 and therefore the actions that you take are actually moving you in that direction, when there are so many other directions and opportunities for fantastic, incredible, competent people like you. We have opportunities poured all over us all the time. These words are your compass.
And I love that. I love that. And so not only is it a powerful exercise, but as you were talking, I realized that it might be really awesome to talk about how to choose the word. Because although you want a word that's going to set you up for a transformation, like what you started to say there was that you chose those words because they scared you, because they were someone you wanted to be. It was like an identity you wanted to step into, right? That, okay, maybe in 2023, you weren't quite hitting the mark in some ways. So you were obviously looking back in order to look forwards into this word. So how do we go about picking a word?
We're constantly self-reflecting with each other, daily. We're constantly self-reflecting. And so as Kristeen and I, we have this space where we can vulnerably talk to each other and say, this is important to me. This is where I'm missing the mark. This is where I'd like to be. And so when you get to have these conversations with the people, with anybody, you can have the conversation with yourself if you can hold your attention that way. And I mean, that's a brilliant skill to cultivate. But ideally, you'd be having these conversations and being the kind of person who is reflecting over the year as you're living your life. On reflection, in my life, I think my words have evolved from progressive, iterative conversations with you.
Progressive, iterative conversations, can't even say the word. I think so too, like that constant personal reflection. But the other thing that I think is true, and I wonder if it is for you too, but for me, what I realized when I set the word for 2025, my intentionality, what that actually came from was quite profound life events. So prior to that, in sort of 2022, 2023, I had like 2 years of this really harrowing situation. Someone was really sick in my family, like really, really close to me. I did think they were going to die, and they're doing better now. And that's wonderful. And I'm so grateful for that. But it was really, really bad. And so there was this chronic grief. But what that told me, because my loved one was suffering from a health condition, and you'd think this would be more obvious as a doctor, but honestly it wasn't, is that health is wealth, right? You know, all of the going to uni, becoming a doctor, like having a business, like you're chasing all these achievements. And then also, of course, like the abundance that comes with that. You're chasing something, but you're not chasing the right things. Not that I don't want all of those things, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be an abundant person and have all the things you need, but it's just more that it really brought home, like, you could have billions in the bank, and if you lose your health, you literally have nothing. And I'm pretty sure Steve Jobs said that, like, all you do when you've got a health problem is try and chase your health again, and nothing else matters. And so I feel like my word came from life circumstances. So as much as there was definitely conversations with you about all that, it was happening to someone else, you know, but I was obviously grieving and going through something emotional. So I think it's kind of like saying, what did that year teach me? Or what have the past couple of years been teaching me? Because there's usually big lessons in self-development and growth in those really hard experiences. And kind of once you've seen that, you can't unsee it. Like now I would say that the reason that I picked the word intention was because I wanted to live what I now regard as a rich life, which is, you know, being present and loving the life I have, basically. And also enjoying travel and just not working all the time. Like, I work a lot. I love working, but just try not to work all the time, Kristeen. You need to learn how to do that. So it was 2025 was the year that I started to begin this journey. But looking back, do you think that's true for you? Because you, with discernment and double down, they're both themed in a way that, you know, it's about family life and relationships and things like that.
To be honest, that feels like 50% of it. The other 50% of it was my mission in life, both discernment and double down. To be honest, discernment, like back where I was in, so what are we saying, 2025, 2024, so 2024, when I was talking about discernment, that was actually more thinking about my career and my business, getting rid of the noise and the other things. And that came from both wanting a result, like wanting to create a result in my business, in my work, in my mission, but having conditions to that. No longer being willing to do it in a way that was hustly or busy, in a way that made me sacrifice things that really were important, which was my relationships, which is where that came in. Because I'm like you, I could just work in my work for like day and night, morning, wake up in the middle of the night and get to work because I'm so excited. I think what we're saying here is do not try and pick this word without first reflecting. So as much as the question is simple that we're posing, pick a word, pick one single word. Don't do it without setting the context for yourself, without reflecting on the year. And you don't need to go week by week and reflect on the year, but simple questions like, what were some of my favorite parts of the year? What were some of the parts where I felt the most not myself, where I felt the furthest out of my integrity and alignment? And also, what are those wantings that I still have in my life, that thing in the back of my mind that keeps nudging, that desire that's been sitting there for often years, but sometimes even just months, it keeps knocking. This is your opportunity to design your life next year to fill those gaps and correct those misalignments. So reflection on the previous year, set a timer. I know it can feel overwhelming. Set a timer, do it for 15 minutes. And from those key things that come out, fill those gaps and make those adjustments with the vision being and the recognition that you can actually create whatever life you want. Your life can look dramatically different in a year's time, let alone in 5 or 10 years. But you need to start now. That's made up of small different actions, and having that really important filter, narrowing down to using discernment to narrow down to what are the key changes that I need to make. That result of that reflection is what will propel the action that will make the change.
Yeah, there's lots of different elements, isn't there? There's sort of thinking about yourself and where you've been, where you're going, what went well, what didn't go well, or just not even that it didn't go well, but you're like, I just feel like the next level of me is like this, and what's the goal, and then how are you going to get to the goal? Because I guess if nothing changes as well, right? So I guess we probably don't want to go into the new year without some kind of, I want to say, because goals at the new year, like everyone puts out a podcast. It's like, let's do a goal setting thing. I don't want to do that today. Like, I think what we're doing is something a little bit different. It's a little bit nuanced. And I think the way that I see this as different is because it's an embodiment. It's not just like, I'm going to like write some goals down and therefore I'll tick them off, right? Because that apparently is helpful. Like if you write the goals down, apparently that does work. I'm sure you've told me that before, Becc. But like, what we're talking about is like having the word so that it literally is who you are for the year. Like you just put on the jacket, you put on the word in some kind of form and you just carry it around. I think so. How you get to your word is probably pretty unique when you really think about it. And there's lots of different life events, things that you might reflect on, and also where you're going, that future thinking, like how are you going to get there? I think that's so clever. And then I guess it's like once you have your word, like how you embody it, I think that's another really key thing. So I do this with my vision board, but I think just setting an intention for me is like, it just happens after that. If I'm really clear on, I plan to do this, it will happen. But I also, when I put my word on the vision board, I'm always thinking, what does that word represent, right? So putting all these lovely experiences around the word intention. What am I going to intentionally achieve and experience? And what's going to define that I am living life in that way? You know, like my family's on the board and all that stuff. So I think that's one technique that I use is the vision board to try and help you understand what your word means so that you can embody it. But is there anything else like that, Becc, in terms of once you've chosen your word, how you move forward with your word?
I completely agree with the vision board as being, it's such an easy thing to do because it's simultaneously, in terms of forces the other way, it's so easy to just get distracted. You know, we have these big visions and this big energy about the new year. And the truth is we go back to our work, we go back to our week, and you just sit back in. You just like go back straight into your snug little 2025 self. But having that reminder in your environment, it gives you a shot. It gives you a chance at starting to, as you say, embody that word and make decisions and therefore take actions from it. I just like to use it functionally, as you said before. I like to use it as that filter to just ask questions. Like if I'm the kind of person who is intentional, this is how we set goals in Dear Darling. We talk about a new identity that we have. I'd like for you guys to take this word as not just a new way that you're acting, but the new person that you are. If you were being held accountable to this, if you were to face a panel at the end of every month and they were to ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how intentional, for example, were you this month? You have to face that panel, and it's obviously only for your own integrity. It's for your own good. But thinking on a daily basis that this is the kind of person you are. This is your integrity. Sure, your 2025 self wasn't that way. The truth is you get to decide to totally change your personality literally any day of the year. You can just start today being that insert word person, and nobody is able to say, well, Mary, you were different yesterday, or you usually act like this. If you literally just start acting that way, being that person today, the police aren't coming for you. I do really just like the frame of I'm the kind of person who doubles down on what's most important to me. That frame, I'm thinking about myself that way, telling myself that, reminding myself of that, and also using it as the decision frame or filter, as you've said, Kristeen. Somebody who doubles down, somebody who's the kind of person who doubles down, how would they make the decision in this moment? Am I acting conducive in alignment with somebody who is doubling down right now? Or am I going for my shiny objects like my old fear-based self wants to? So I like it from the identity perspective, and I like it from the decision filter perspective. And in that way, it takes a bit of mindfulness to insert it into those moments. But when you do this just a couple of times, if you do a bit of spaced repetition at the start of the year in the first couple of weeks, maybe set some reminders on your phone, maybe do a bit more journaling in the first couple of weeks of the year, it can really help to sort of solidify that new neural pathway for you, theoretically, and therefore make it effortless in the year to come.
And another absolute hack I have, and I think maybe we actually did this last year, so maybe this worked too, but as accountability is actually telling people what your word is. Because you will be held accountable to it. And we did that very publicly last year.
Maybe the police are coming.
And then we're going to do it again right now, aren't we, Becc? We're going to tell you what our words are.
You know what? I have a different idea, if you may. Feel free to reject my idea. So we're going to put out this podcast this week. We've spoken about what the word of the year is, and we've asked you to do some careful reflection. We've said you cannot just pull this word out of nowhere. I mean, maybe you're a very intuitive person, or maybe you've kind of done this reflection intuitively already or automatically already, and you are ready. You just know your word, and that's great. That's amazing. And also it's true for a lot of very busy doctors. Most of us won't have reflected on our lives to the point that we are ready to go with this word. So I would like to invite you guys to spend this time between episodes from now until the next episode comes out, not listening to our word, but reflecting for yourself, turning inward and coming up with, maybe a bit of a short list of words for you before you listen to our words to come. But what do you think, Kristeen? Because on the flip side, a bit of inspirations, it's useful.
I love a bit of a part too.
All right, guys. Well, we're just going to leave you with this absolute cliffhanger of our words for next year.
As you can see, this is not a scripted podcast. Sounds good, Becc. Sounds good. I'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
We get so many heartfelt thank yous from our fellow doctors for having these vulnerable conversations on the podcast. If you want to say thank you too, we would be most appreciative if you left our podcast a review. Reviews actually mean everything to us because they're what make the platform share the podcast with all the other doctor humans. And our mission is to make as many doctors as we can reach feel more human. Just go to your podcast app, click on the show, and find the option to review. The other way you can help us is just by sharing the podcast with someone in your life who you know will say, "Thank you for saying that," or tagging us in social media. And if you're in healthcare looking for speakers for your next event, or professionals who actually get it to facilitate the vulnerable or empowered conversations our teams of doctors need, request us through podcastfordoctors@gmail.com.